Groyado Panama Tukan Sirinari Swan Anu Boja Gulu Lubua Gaune Jomtade Kama Chigan Gucci Dilari Pizon Video Lunet Dudu Sini Sitari Letan Shivio Lulu Sitadatu Diari Atolo Yuna Panchati Muga Sisi Nyalili Pumbiro Tinya Shitu Boa Amagaja Yan Lotte Kudu Shitu Yapi Ao Josa Atu Najabasi Ya Mauta Mitaurita Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa So Buddhan Saranavisanu Tarana Kamana Pari Paunam So Panati Pada idame silang mega phala nyanasa Bacayo Hotu Mimi Abjuno Itiladi Menya Punya A Jesu Budo Chow Atauba Pipasi Apamadina Tamadida Apamadina Makamu Shaw Kamu Samoya Pique Malehedo Apamada 3 option Tampadita Mimidu Ikentika Awawa Piso or Atocha Valley. Oimia Tia Sahori Yaka Savidori Punya Sure Sagali Utibiro Dana Telega Dana Punya Tila Telega Tila Punya Bavana Telega Bavana Punya Tom you quit over Punya de Bella Mimi Poa and you came with a few scenes that she's at the board. Tension at the board, tension look at the board. Tarili Pyoga. Dana Punya, Dila Punya, Quachachically Pyoga. Danaga Bawari Senili, she Sauni, Pilero, Menamaga. Dilaga, Santini Harego, She Jown, Sankujan, Shauno, Lubawa, Chanta Yad, Chanta Makoya. Nabo Leviana. Menamaga, Chanta Makoya, Chariaga. Sitati Pujo, Dimani, Tobido, Amakanja Shide, Ponyari, Bodima, Awana Ponyari, Lopo. Hiladi Pyoga. The Pata Ponyari, Ubadana Ponya, Tarile Queb Yoga Bara. Ido Danane Mita Bawana, Naishi Mirole Pyoga Bara. Ujiji, Tande, alone to ya. Shape your widow, don't you, Ludaya Tate, the canale, Mita Poyadaga, Sabon Tades, very good to a Tades, or a lip yoga. Peter Gulo was a Bala, Kiddy Tari, Pikumia on body. Chongja Saita Ari Toda body, Ye Ari Toda Sabu Juba Toda to Sindu Pima Lumia Juba Toda Your money Banda Yote, Sisi to Atoda body. Hedru Atom which she went Nipontia near that Atom. She did Dalia, Pugiro Tamushi, for the Pyoga. Did it say Pyoji Nagaro? The early Atolo Pipiaco Cato to Timi Solochi, very Tinia Liha Pipiaco Mami and Bene Loki Lumukisa Tamkisa. Dana Lilone, Chigantila Lilone, Budisita Lilone, Pichia de Kuduti, Savonia Swatavo body, and a tiny sepioga.
Sarah is explaining since the starting of this Dhamma preaching, Sarah have been talking about this punya, that is the meritorious works. These meritorious works means they are of three kinds. One is dana punya, and second is sila punya, and the third is bhavana punya. Dana is the practicing of generosity or charity. Sila is we are observing the good conduct. Bhavana is cultivation or civilizing our mind. So by practicing dana alone, then of course you will have meritorious effect, but that effect will bring you to have a good and comfortable life. But by observing sila, it is more better than dana. So by observing the sila, whatever we needed to avoid, we will be avoiding. Whatever we needed to do, we will be doing. So by doing, then we will get a good life as a human or a divine life. And also you will have a good life and from hereafter. So, and by practicing bhavana means to flourish our mind, to progress our mind, to understand the great knowledges. So to attain these Dhamma knowledges there are of two ways. One is samatha and second is vipassana. Samatha is the tranquility meditation. It will keep distance of the pollutants of the mind, but you cannot attain the wisdom. Only with vipassana punya, that is what we are doing now as Satipatthana Dhamma practice, then these two have a great difference. Ciara talked about it last night. And also Ciara explained about the difference between the practice of dana and difference between practicing metta, that is the loving kindness. So because you are capable to do so, say about 100 huge pots of food you have been offering to the beings for 3 times in a day, but even for a second or a glimpse of radiating your loving kindness towards the other, even though this loving kindness practice is even a split of second, that is greater than you have done the charity, that is you have been offering 3 times to the beings. So, but better than metta bhavana, practicing developing radiation of loving kindness towards others is also good. But better than that is we have to eradicate the mental pollutants called kilesa or defilements. So these defilements are accumulated in our mind not only in this life, we have been bearing in our mind all along in our previous lifetime as well. So that's why to encounter these defilements, we have to raise our energy all the time till we reach to the goal. These energy or the effort are of 3 kinds. The first is once we started taking up the Dhamma practice, we will have initial effort or energy, and then we will uplift or boosting our energy, and then we are having the persevering effort till we reach to the goal. So if we are practicing so, then even though we may be living for 1 day with this kind of practice, it's better than those who may be living for 100 years but not knowing any kind of the Dhamma knowledge. So that's why Ciara explained that if we take up this Dhamma practice at one time with the maturity and the progress of our mind, we will be seeing with their own experience, the appearing and disappearing of the Dhamma nature, or all the phenomenon. So all these are based on lokiya, that is within this mundane field. But better than that, how to upgrade our mind to attain the different stages of knowledges, Ciara will talk tonight.
Bhavana punya ma maniga phikai chuma tabawa moksha ti nai di so de Jesu ji mai sa ro bhya ji pi tha de Dhamma lansin tai bo li bhon ji sa ho twa ba le phikai soda phi soda ga sa li lu de lu ti de lu che lu ya ba le khai so de saka ga ro pu no le se so de dai be ya da se Don't so that they believe it. Pit don't pit's hair. Pibi maho. Pimeha maho, Nagamo. Take a little on the Matijaro. And I got to a county body that motor Sikuba. The Mulu was Sikuba. Lola's a body the Hagaroda. Yamama do it. These are so man. Mingai, Jagai, Nagai, Sagai, Tigai, Tigai. These is solution. Lechi, Jauji, Kuigai, Sangai, Joagai, Langai, Chagai, Yakai. The word is a solution. Missy, Makai, Punkai. Kongai, now Langai body, we Yangai. Najiba Vedama, Edaria, Kolo, Shuya met Shukwini, Shuku Deji, Kolo. Babe Pipsi, Lola said, Bola de holiday. To bottom was a lima body. Shuya met Shu so the Zagam Halave, Sigali at the Lone Babe. Amati Zemha in Ari, Nyai Party. She Banga a good city from Jobo, city Tashima Luta Ha Chushi there. The little allows her body, singing down a thing and the sheet at nearby. That they eat you. Energy, a signally jump you with her. You see the dinner, body less or a body. Doggy burger, soundy, pilly or juicy, look. The area of 2 hours. Lunet 2 hours, Ludo say that out, Lutina, she with a Lucha Lucia. Nilania, body less or a body. Shut up, Purayame, Susan Diame, that they eat. The gay Boko County town. Poitu Sasso, Rochi, Kalena Beta Corabody. Kalena Beta, Susayame, Chinka Yabido, Chinka Bido, Mia Miame, Tapamazo, Sal Lupo.
So when we are practicing bhavana means we are cultivating or training our mind. This is the meritorious walks. So in accordance with our great Mahasi Sayadaw's teaching, we all have to focus or observe our mind to the present occurrence. So to the present occurrence is while it is happening. So it is not before the incident is occurred. It is not after the object have been occurred. It must be concurrent to the present moment or to the present occurrence. So if we are imagining before the object is occurred or after the object, then these are just imagination. These are not true practical walk. Because this is the true practical walk is while the object or the object of meditation is occurring, you have to focus on it concurrently and immediately. While it is happening, you must be observing, not later or not before. So that not only in sitting and walking, we have to be mindful all the time, whether you are bending your hand, stretching your body or stretching your hand, or stepping forward or stepping down, and how far we have to observe is even to the minute behavior from our bodies, for like we are opening and closing of our eyes. All these are notable or observable. We have to observe to all these behavior from our body and mind. So while the object is occurring, whatever the nature is, our duty is just to observe it immediately while it is happening. So in that way, if we are observing time and again, our mind will become clean and pure. So that our mind is clean and pure, then we know this way of practice is suitable to us or not, whether it is suitable or not, whether it is beneficial or not, we know to ourselves. And also we come to understand this is the kind of practice we need to do it. This is a must, we must do it. So for the almost all the people in this world nowadays, we have to spend most of our times for our living. So we have been spending most of our time for our living. Of course, this is we have to do. But at the same time, we need to search and we need to learn what are the things we need to follow to become a good human being. So in that way, if we are trying to understand what to become a good human being is, we need to have Kalyana Metta. Kalyana Metta means it's a good friend or a virtuous friend or a learned person. So if we are approaching, then it is the right approach.
Kalyana Metta kore, Mekong Sui Gong Sia Tamago, check conditionally, you chetayame. Eddie check on the chest or Patama Chekaro, Pia ko Pia Sura King Kayada Boku, Chichi Kayada Boku. Gogo Juchi out, Tinehari, Nubialo, go my Jushi be Soroshi Eddie Boku, and Mimi Bomb Ha Juchi was Lulade the Wapiara. Juicy was Lulade Piare, Midale, sheeted, Mita Tare Boku, the Chisia Vedu. Era Gigi, era Bia con Pietro Lavi. Dalabdi and Mopene body, Lamman Pia, Lamman shout out on body, a pepper got Luditi Mishi body, don't appear. Don't appear. Go no abuse mutilation, Jamie, the Saint Citaria, Sa. Go what do them Murishila. The Lisa did their concover. Got Kuru concover. The Lupia Krukum, the piece of his Lucia. Eddie Poco, Ma. Mikore Poco, Mita Taro, Nadu Akure Poco. Jamai Bazi, Chanda Bazi, Surabadi. Mita Apu Khairo. Are you Khairo? It is Sambaunia Concover. Hello, Chingan Kone Kushia Poku Ha. To the body sits on the Kama Surishi. Chushi the Zagari, Pura. You were lunet 2 hours, Chushi the Zagar, New Charger. Now, see, I'm a body, I say only the people you are to wear. Chushi the Zagari, Pura. That they eat you are. Eddie Conella, you chet I am. Mimi got the other so much, be a cope, Yamito, Pure Kajaro level. Deacon Diame, that was in the Kama Concover. Deacon the Sailor Shima Kona. Now, Chakumia Kongaro. A good Lupin at Adana, eating Jonjay de Kama, Jonjay as on the Look once in the body. She can go to the piece of it. Something needed. So you see that she looked at needed. To the thing and she can say, since people in Japito, Diva Marva, and there's automatic Yana Lotari. You don't know Johnny Body. Don't you seppo anybody. Nenere the Azagarigo level Sadwin, Letwin. Bounce up with your name, Konashia me. The Chakumia Kong body. And also Konkumia Kongaro. Kona Aku Kada Bokoga, Mimi Jogo, Nebido. Mikuni the Boko Rego. အကျိုးမရှိတဲ့နေရာမှာအလွဲအသုံးမချရဘူးဒါနောက်ဆုံးခုံပဲနောက်ဆုံးခုအဲ့ဒီခုံခုနှစ်ပါးနဲ့ရွေးချယ်လို့ပြည့်စုံပြီဆိုလို့ရှိရင်တော့အဲ့ဒါကလျာဏမိတ်တမိကောင်းဆွေကောင်းဆရာသမားကောင်းဖြစ်တော့တာပဲအဲ့ဒီပုဂ္ဂိုလ်ချင်းကလို့ရှိရင်မိမိတို့အတွက်ယခုအသက်ရှိဆုံးကာလမှာလည်းပဲအကျိုးကျေးဇူးရှိနေတယ်နောက်ဘဝဆက်မှာလည်းပဲအကျိုးကျေးဇူးတွေအများကြီးရှိသွားနိုင်တယ်အထူးအားဖြင့်ဘဝအစဉ်တန်းဘယ်တော့မှမနေနိုင်တော့ပါဘူး
So, to find a Kalyanamita, that is a good or a virtuous friend. A good or virtuous friend, that person must have 7 kinds of good qualities. First is, that person must have a lovable qualities. Lovable is because that person is your good friend or virtuous friend, always guide for the benefits and he would teach you to have a good benefits. And also that virtuous friend will have loving kindness, and with that, based on that love and kindness, then he will guide you for the benefits of you or the others. And also this virtuous friend is capable to show the righteous path. This is a good path and this is not. And also that virtuous friend will make you or push you or make you to follow the righteous path. And also this virtuous friend has a respectable quality. Because he is having a respectable quality, then you are not exactly leaning, but you are depending on a virtuous friend based on this metta, that is loving kindness and compassion. So in that way, you will be that virtuous friend will be appreciated by the others, and that person will have the turning back of the metta. May he be happy, may he be in good health, etc. So this virtuous quality must be present in him. And also, because this person is appreciated and loved by the others, the words or the saying will bring only the benefits to his friends. In that way, he will be always talking all the beneficial things, which are the things you have to do and which are the things you need to avoid. And this factor is also important because a real virtuous friend or a teacher will only show you the good path and which is the good things you have to do. And that is important, we have to understand. And another factor is, as a virtuous friend, because he is guiding, then he will be sometimes criticized or said by the others. In that way, that virtuous friend will have good patience or endurance, good endurance quality. And also the one is, not only by teaching to the others, he himself is practicing the good conduct. So by pursuing the good conduct, he will be abstaining from the evils and only pursuing the good conducts. Not only that, one will practice till one achieves the first stage of Megha and Phalanyana. That is to attain the first stage of the noble level. So by doing so, that virtuous friend will be understanding this is after all this nama and rupa, after all the compound of this mind and matter. So to attain this first level of Megha and Phalanyana and to understand this is the compounded nature of mind and matter, this is a real serious walk, and this is very deep seated in nature to be understood by the people whoever pursue. So in that way, after all, these are in accordance with the Dhamma teaching. So in accordance with the Dhamma teaching, he will be guiding both from the theoretical, not the theoretical, both from the scriptures as well from the practice. And the last is, whatever the things that will not suit to others, or maybe you will be diverting away from the righteous path. And in that way, if that virtuous friend sees you, then he will guide you properly. So, and that virtuous friend will never misuse you. He will be only giving a good guidance. So these qualities which we find in a person, then that person is your virtuous friend. If we find a virtuous friend, then we needed to approach to him. And if we approach to him, then he will be teaching us for all the goodnesses which are good for this life as well for the others.
Neri Kalina Mita Poiru Gogure Buddha take Danchas of Kalina Mita. Buddha letter to Gala, Pia to Yidi, the Ribudra Shimagula, Sashi de Bogurele, to Releve Pia Kalina Mita city. Now to Phoebe, Boli Gala, Viliola, to create light. Kuran leve Pia Lurija, Chibida, Tisimia, Lego Boli, Mikuni de Bogurego, Mita, Tabida Boli, Bama. Cùng là bà nhiều về này bỏ đi, biểu họ tại tôi đi ra bao cô đi, tôi đi chỉ duy mà đi sát vào vậy, Buddha aluja, Buddha nija chỉ duy sát vào vậy, lời này thì áo sao bây giờ sát vào lệ tuy, Buddha nói suy nghĩ đi biểu đó vậy, bây giờ cái gì trái mà sát vào vậy như này trái mà chuyện tôi biết đó. Sarabjai mu dai boiru to say beyond Rava. Iradiha Piaga synthetic needy Surabari. Take Danjas of Kalina Meta a seat Peter would have Yaga synthetic. Kona Pia Gruba near Kone, Pizone, Sagari Surabari. Pitaga Yunji Shibu, the Yajibare.
When it comes to the words Kalyana Mita, that is the virtuous friend, then Buddha is the highest of all the virtuous friends to all the beings. But from the time of the Buddha, there were two great disciples like Shin Sariputra and Shima Moggallana, and from that time, generation to generation, up till the present time, the great teachers are teaching us how to pursue or train ourselves to have a good conduct based with metta and karuna. They have the loving kindness and compassion. So this current in this modern days, we are following the teaching of our great Mahasi Sayadaw. So from our great Mahasi Sayadaw is teaching us in accordance with Buddha's wishes. After all, these are the Buddha's method or Buddha's teaching. These things or these Dhamma are handed down from all the disciples. Up till now, the current Sayadaw is also Mahasi Sayadaw's disciple. So our present Sayadaw is teaching us the same thing. So these teachings are handed down from the Lord Buddha. So in that way, we will be seeing Buddha is the highest esteem of the being who have the lovable quality, who have the great knowledge to guide the others.
Buddha Prilipan Sangani Naibai Elu Mavali Listening of Balu Hori Tiarigo a two choke video body. Ekarali Nalo Nebody, Mijagabara, Dhamma Unia, Dhammasura, Nilanja, Chintone Pogo, Autamchaya Aulo, Swe Martin Bide out Dhamma, Chushi on Chia de Diaribo, Chikubo Chushi. လူနဲ့တူအောင်လူတို့စိတ်ဓာတ်အောင်လူသိညာရှိတဲ့လူချက်လူဖြစ်အောင်ပေါ့လေအဲ့ဒါတွေညွှန်ကြားခဲ့ပါတယ်အဲ့ဒီညွှန်တဲ့အတိုင်းလက်တွေ့ကြကြဓမ္မကိုကျင့်သုံးရပါတယ်ဒီတော့အဲ့လိုကျင့်သုံးတဲ့နေရာမှာစီးနဲ့ကမ်းနဲ့ကျင့်သုံးရပါတယ်လူကလည်းလူစီကံအနည်းဆုံး၅ပါးသီလတန်တယ်လို့ရှိရင်၈ပါးသီလယဟန်လည်းယဟန်စီကံဟိုတရားကြီးကျေးရပါတယ်စီကံတွေကိုတရားရှိဥစွာရှိထားပြီးတော့လည်းကျင့်သုံးရပါတယ်အဲ့ဒါဝိနည်းခေါ်ပါတယ်ဒီတော့အကျိုးကျေးဇူးရှိအောင်ညွှန်တဲ့အတိုင်းကျင့်သုံးတာကဓမ္မကျင့်သုံးရတာကဓမ္မကြီးနဲ့ကမ်းနဲ့ကျင့်သုံးဖို့ပြတာကဝိနည်းတတိအခရာ၅လုံးနဲ့အစွာပြညွှန်ခဲ့ပါတယ်အဲ့ဒီဓမ္မဝိနည်းကိုငါဖျားကိုယ်တိုင်ညွှန်ကြားခဲ့ပြီငါဖျားအားကိုးတဲ့ပုဂ္ဂိုလ်တွေနှလုံးသားထဲမှာလည်းပဲအပြည့်ခံကအောင်လုပ်ခဲ့ပြီတဲ့နောက်လည်းအားထုတ်မဲ့ပုဂ္ဂိုလ်တွေလည်းပဲဒီတိုင်းပဲပေါ့လေအဲ့ဒီဓမ္မဝိနည်းဟာငါဖျားကွယ်သွားတဲ့အခါငါဖျားရဲ့ကိုယ်စားဖျားပဲဒီတော့ခုကလာပုဂ္ဂိုလ်တွေတက်တော်တေရှာဒီဖျားတော့မတွေ့လျက်ဘူးပေါ့လေဒါပေမဲ့သူဟောထားတဲ့တရားတော်တိုင်းကျင့်သုံးလို့တရားတော်နဲ့ကိုက်ညီပြီဆိုလို့ရှိရင်အဲ့ဒီကိုက်ညီအောင်မိမိရရှိထားတဲ့တရားဟာဖျားပဲတရားဟာရှင်သန်နေတဲ့တရားဖြစ်တယ်လို့ဖျားရဲ့ကိုယ်စားတရားဟာလည်းပဲရှင်သန်တဲ့သဘောဖြစ်နေတော့တက်တော်ထင်ရှားဖျားလို့ဆိုရတာပါပဲအဲ့တော့အခုကာလပုဂ္ဂိုလ်တွေဘုရားမြတ်စွာဟာနှစ်ပေါင်း2550ကျော်ကကွယ်လွန်သွားပြီမယ်လို့အခုအထိမြတ်စွာဘုရားတရားတော်တွေဟာရှိနေသေးတယ်တရားတော်တွေရှင်းတာကိုငါတို့လုပ်ဖို့ရန်အတွက်တာဝန်ရှိတယ်ဆိုတာပေါ့လေဘုရားဘာသာဝင်တိုင်းကပေါ့လေကိုယ်ဆိုင်ရာကိုယ့်ရဲ့တဏ္ဍာမှာတရားရှင်းတာအောင်လုပ်နိုင်လို့ရှိရင်တော့အဲ့ဒါဘုရားကိုယ်ကိုရကြုံနဲ့တာပဲဘုရားဘာသာဝင်ဖြစ်ခါကြုံနဲ့တာပဲအဲ့ဒီလိုမှမဟုတ်ဘူးဆိုလို့ရှိရင်တော့အမိကဘုရားဘာသာဝင်ပဲအင်းလေးလိုပြောလို့ရှိရင် by name ဘုရားဘုဒ္ဓစစ်ပါတယ်
Sarah explained about the Buddha just on his deathbed, just before he reached to his demise. He has spent for the whole 45 vasa, for the full 45 years, Buddha have been teaching these Dhamma continuously, non-stop. And these Dhamma, in terms, Sarah explains as, they are of two Dhamma Vinaya. Although this is the 5 words, Dhamma have one meaning and Vinaya have another meaning. And Dhamma is, it is the righteous practice or righteous thing that needed to be practiced. If one practices and abides to the Dhamma, one will be uplifting oneself to become a real human being. So if you do practice this Dhamma, not only in this lifetime you are having the benefits, because you do have the knowledge, from here after too, you are going to pursue in the good life or have a good, you will have a blissful life. So because this is the real practical walk we needed to pursue or we needed to practice, then not only by abiding this Dhamma, but we also need to discipline in accordance with the principles of the Buddha. So the principles or the discipline is, as a lay person, we need to abide to the principle that needed to be followed by the lay people. Like the bhikkhus too, they have to abide to the many numerous discipline what they have to do. So only by doing these two things, you become a real dutiful person, whether you are a lay person or a bhikkhu or a monk. So if you are practicing this Dhamma accordingly as taught by the Lord Buddha, then you become a real human being. If you follow the discipline or the principle, that is the Vinaya. And accordingly to the lay people, if we are a lay people, then we have to abide to the discipline that are needed to be followed by the lay people. That is not, Sierra says, not the teaching of this current teachers. It is the teaching of the Lord Buddha. So when Lord Buddha was alive, Buddha, before he reached to his demise, he says that although he has reached to his demise, whatever he has taught, that is Buddha's teaching. All the teaching are, if it is still alive, then Buddha Sasana is still alive. So nowadays, we cannot see the Buddha alive. He has reached to his demise. But Buddha's Dhamma, or the teaching, is still alive. So that's why if we are upkeeping the Dhamma to ourselves, then we are not only having a Dhamma to ourselves, but we are also, by seeing the Dhamma means you are seeing the Buddha as well, as if he is still alive. So Buddha have reached to his demise about 2,550 years ago. But his Dhamma, his teaching, are still existing up till nowadays. So because as his teaching are still alive, if we abide to all the teaching, and if we keep in our heart about all these Dhamma within ourselves, then you become a real Buddhist. But if not, because you were born as a Buddhist, and if we just follow the Buddhist as a traditional, then only by name we are Buddhists, but not by value.
ကဘာပေါ်ရှိလူသားတွေဟာဒီအရှင်တန်မြင့်မြင့်နဲ့လူညီမအရှင်တန်မြင့်မြင့်နဲ့နေကြကြတာပါပဲအရှင်တန်မြင့်မြင့်နဲ့နေတဲ့နေ့တွေလည်းပဲကဘာလူသားတွေမှာရှိနေပါတယ်ယုတ်ထုအနေနဲ့အရှင်တန်မြင့်တာကတော့သူ့အရှင်မြင့်တဲ့စီးရင်ထဲမှာမထည့်ပါဘူးဒုက္ခပညာတွေတတ်နေတာလည်းပဲဒါလည်းသူ့အရှင်တန်မြင့်နေတယ်မထည့်ပါဘူးအကျင့်စာရိတ္တနဲ့ပတ်သက်တဲ့စီးရင်တုံမျှော်မြင်တုံရှိပြီးတော့ကိုယ်ဝိရတွေတန်ရှိအောင်လို့နှုတ်ဝိရတွေတန်ရှိအောင်လို့စိတ်နေစိတ်ထားတွေတန်ရှိအောင်လို့လုတ်တက်တဲ့နည်းတွေအဲ့ဒါတွေရှိဖို့အရေးကြီးပါတယ်ပထမဆုံးစီးရင်တုံတရားလေးကိုယ်တွေပဲဖြစ်ဖြစ်အများတွေပဲဖြစ်ဖြစ်လို့ဖို့ကြုံလာပြီဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ရှင်တို့တရားလေးဥရပါတယ်ကျူးရှိမရှိဒါစင်ရပါတယ်ကျူးမရှိမလုပ်ရဘူးဒါမျိုးမပြောရဘူးမချစီရဘူးကျူးမဖြစ်နေတာပါအကျူးရှိပြီမလို့တိမတင်လည်းချင်းရပါတယ်ကျူးရှိတာပဲဆိုပြီးတော့ရမ်းလို့မရပါဘူးတိမတင်ချင်းရတယ်အချိန်ကာလစသည်ထောက်ဆပါတယ်ဒီအတိညာလေးလည်းရေးကြည့်ပါတယ်လူရလို့ဖြစ်လာပြီဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ပညာတတ်တတ်မတတ်တတ်လူပြည်သားကိုနေတတ်တဲ့နေဟာပထမဆုံးပြုရပြောရကြံစည်ရမယ့်အရာတွေနဲ့မကင်းကြတာဖြစ်တော့မပြုမပြောမကြံစည်ခင်မိမိလူရဟာပြကင်းတယ်လားမကင်းဘူးလားကျူးရှိလားမရှိဘူးလားဆိုတော့အဲ့ဒီစဉ်းကျင်တော့တရားရှိရပါတယ်အဲ့ဒါနောက်ထပ်ရင့်ကျက်တဲ့အတိညာဏ်ဖြစ်ဖို့ရအတွက်အဲ့ဒါပထမဥစ္စာပဲအဲ့ဒါတည်းရေးကြည့်ပါတယ်
So in this world, there are people, especially all the human beings, we like to have a high standard of living. But in Dhamma-wise, this high standard of living is not measured with materiality, because you can live with a good car and good all the materiality. This is not inclusive in the Dhamma world. To become a real human being is basically we need to have a good conduct. By having the good conduct from the speech and the deeds, then you become a purified person. Your bodily behavior is good, your speech is good. So, as such, or not only for yourself, to the others as well, you have some kind of good reflection in your mind. And that good reflection is, whenever you are going to do, you will consider whether this is beneficial or not. Even though it is beneficial, but if it is not suitable, you are not going to do it. So that's why once we are becoming as a human being, whether you are an educated person or non-educated, it doesn't matter. The only thing is whatever we are going to do as walks in this world, we needed to comprehend these 2 points. That is, whether this walk is suitable or not. Even though if it is beneficial, but if it is not suitable, we shouldn't do. So that's why we have to consider whether it is suitable or not suitable, whether it is beneficial or not beneficial. These 2 comprehensions must bear in mind if we wanted to attain the higher wisdom. For example, like if you are going to commit any kind of evil deeds like killing, stealing, and misconduct, then if you comprehend whether all these things are beneficial or not, you know that these are non-beneficial, these are evil, and this will only downgrade your life, it will only give you a disadvantage and miseries in your life. So in that way, as you understood, you try to abstain from all these evil deeds and speech. So because you have abstained yourself to be in good conduct from speech and deeds, then you become a real good human being. So that is because we have reflected in our mind in a righteous way. Because you have reflect in your mind in the righteous way, not only for yourself, you have a good consideration towards others as well. That means you are abiding to the 5 precepts properly. So if we are abiding to the 5 precepts properly, this is good for us as well for the others.
နားလည်လာတော့လူလူစိတ်ထားတတ်အောင်မေတ္တာထားတယ်မေတ္တာပို့တယ်မေတ္တာစိတ်တွေဖြစ်နေတယ်ကျင့်တဲ့တဲ့စိတ်တွေရှိနေတယ်ဒါအခြေခံတော့သူများကောင်းစားတာမနာလိုတာလည်းမရှိကိုလိုသူများကောင်းစားသွားတာကိုလည်းဝန်တိုတာလည်းမရှိဟောအခြေခံလူလူစိတ်ထားတတ်သွားတယ်တော့ဒါတစ်ဆင့်တက်သွားတာပေါ့အဲ့ဒီနီးနဲ့အခုတတိပဌာန်ရှိမှတ်တဲ့နေ့ကတော့ဖြစ်တိုင်းမှရှိတတိပြုစောင့်ဖို့စိတ်ထားဆိုတဲ့အတိုင်းပေါင်းမှုပြုမှုအစပေါ်တိုင်းအာယုံမှာပေါ့လေချိန်သားဆိုင်စိတ်အားဆိုင်ပြီးတော့ဆွေးမြဲစွာရှုအောင်လို့မှစိတ်ကလေးစိုက်ကြတဲ့အခိုက်အတန့်စဉ်းစားကြည့်ပေါ့လောဘလည်းဖြစ်လောဘစိတ်လည်းဖြစ်မကျင်တဲ့ဒေါသစိတ်လည်းဖြစ်အဲ့ဒါတွေကင်းနေတာပဲအမတ်ဒီဖြစ်တိုင်းလောဘဒေါသတွေကင်းနေတာရှင်းနေတာပဲအဲ့ဒါစိတ်နေစိတ်ဓာတ်ကောင်းတယ်လို့ခေါ်ပါတယ်အဲ့ဒါကဥပဒနာနီးနဲ့စိတ်တရှင်းအောင်လူလူစိတ်ဓာတ်ကိုပြုလုပ်တဲ့နီးပါပဲ
So if we commit any evil, then we know these are evil and not good for one. So you abstain from all the evil, from the speech as well from the deeds. Then you become a real human being. But Sarah explained that this is only at the level that you are a real human being. So, but based on it, because you have good consideration in mind, you will develop loving kindness and compassion towards the others. Because you have the loving kindness and compassion towards the other, there is no envy and jealousy. So you develop mudita, that is the appreciative joy for the other people's success. So based on metta, that is loving kindness, if we reflect in our mind, we know this is beneficial. If we do have loving kindness, we know it is suitable. Because these qualities are suitable and beneficial for us, we practice. So if we do have that kind of mind, then there is no evil like no envy, no jealousy, only the goodwill will exist in our mind. So if only a goodwill are existing in our mind, then our mental attitude is a real kind as a human being. So with the practice of Vipassana or Satipatthana Dhamma practice, if we can observe with the right aim to all the present occurrences of the object time and again, then that time we can assess to ourselves how good it is. At that moment, there is no greed, no anger, because we have the continuity of observation with pure mind. So if we are doing that way, then we are becoming as a good human being. So with Vipassana practice too, we can uplift ourselves to become a real human being.
ဒီကုဏကျူးရှိဖြစ်တိမတိဖြစ်နေတဲ့အသိဉာဏ်ထားပြီးတော့အလုပ်လို့ကိုယ်မှာကျူးရှိတာလေးတွေများသိလာပြီဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ဒီနေ့တည်းဟုတ်ပါလားဆိုတာကိုခံလာတာပဲလက်ခံလာတာပဲယုံကြည်မှုလေးတွေလည်းထိုက်တော့ဖြစ်လာတာပဲဒါဘယ်သူမှညင်းလို့မရဘူးဒါသိထင်ရှားပါတယ်အခုလိုဥပဒနာနီးဒီလမ်းပညာဘာဝနာလမ်းလိုက်လာတဲ့အခါကျတော့အခုဖြစ်ခိုက်ရှိမှသဘာဝမုချတိနိုင်သည်ဆိုတဲ့အတိုင်းဖောင်းကိုက်မှာရှုလို့ဥပဒနာခိကသမာဓိကြီးအားပြည့်သွားလို့ရှိရင်တောင်းတာလေးတွေတင်းတာလေးတွေလှုပ်တာလေးတွေမနေ့ကပြောတဲ့အတိုင်းဒါတွေသိလာတာပဲဒါကယုတ်သူတို့ကိုသိနေတာလေးတွေကနာမ်ဆိုတာပါလေယုတ်နဲ့နာမ်နဲ့ယုတ်တစ်ခါတည်းကွဲသိလာတာဒါကိုယ်တို့အသိပေါ့ပွားတိညာခေါ်ပါတယ်တော့လူဘဝဟာဒီယုံနာကလွယ်လို့ရှိရင်မရှိယုံနာပေါင်းစပ်ပြီးသားဖြစ်နေတယ်ဆိုတာပေါ့လေကောင်းကောင်းနားလည်သွားတယ်ခုနစင်ရတုံကျိုးရှိမရှိရှင်းတဲ့အသိဉာဏ်အမိပြုပြီးတော့လက်တွေ့နေတဲ့ရောက်လာတဲ့အခါကျတော့တကယ်အမှန်တရားကိုကိုယ်ရည်သိလာတာ အဲ့ဒါသိပညာတွေတိုးလာတဲ့ခေါ်တယ်
So after we have comprehended to oneself whether it is beneficial or not, whether it is suitable or not, then as we have come to know, for example, if we are practicing in this Vipassana way, because we come to understand the realities with the progress of our practice, because you know with your own personal experience, you have confidence in this Dhamma practice. So with this Vipassana Dhamma practice is, we are training our mind to come to understand all the realities which exist within ourselves. So that's why if we are following to note or observe the rising as rising, then at that time, as we progress, we come to pick up from our mind the characteristics of the nature, as stiffness, tension as tension, relaxation as relaxation. And these are arising from the matters, and those were noted or known from our mind. So in that way, we have the differentiative understanding of only the mind and matter exists, nothing else exists. So in that way, you will be understanding. So once we are becoming as a human being, and if we come to understand the differentiative knowledge of this mind and matter, then with that reflection of mind, whether it is suitable or not, whether it is beneficial or not, then from that basic understanding, we are going to pile up more and more of mature Vipassana wisdom.
အဲ့ဒါစက္ကစက္ကတူတူနေလို့ရှိရင်ဒီအသိဉာဏ်လေးဟာပိုရှင်းပြီးတော့ပိုအားကောင်းလာတတ်တယ်ပြီးတော့တခြားအာယုန်တွေရှုမှတ်တဲ့အခါမှာလည်းပဲပိုပြီးတော့လည်းပြီးဖြစ်လာတတ်တယ်ဆက်ပြီးတော့ရှုနေလို့ရှိရင်ဒီဘောင်းနာပင်နာကိုပဲဆက်ရှုနေရင်ဘောင်းနာပင်နာလေးရှုရနေပြီးတော့တခါပင်နာလေးရပြောက်သွားတယ်ရှုခွဲအာယုံပြောက်တော့သူအသိစိတ်လည်းမဖြစ်တော့ဖောင်းသိစိတ်လည်းမဖြစ်တော့ဘူးတခါဖောင်းမှုလေးပါပြောက်သွားပြီဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ရှိတော့အတိလေးတွေဖြစ်နေတာပဲဖောင်းမှုလေးတွေသူမရှိတဲ့ကသူကွယ်သွားတဲ့ခါကျတော့သူဖောင်းသိစိတ်မရှိတော့ဒီတော့ရှုခွဲအာယုံရှိမှရှုသိတဲ့တရားအကျိုးတရားတွေဖြစ်တယ်ရှုစရာအာယုအကြောင်းရှိမှရှုသိတဲ့အကျိုးတရားတွေဖြစ်တယ်ဆိုတာပေါ့လေယောဂီကရှုရင်းကကောင်းကောင်းနားလည်သွားတတ်ပါတယ်
So the more we are capable to practice continuously, the more we will come to understand, and that understanding will become more stronger and it is more clear. So for example, if we are observing the rising and falling, then because the rising is there, your noting mind or awareness occurred. When there is no more of rising phenomenon, no mind is occurring to observe the rising phenomenon. When the falling phenomenon disappears, there is no more of arising from the mind as well. So only while it is existing, while the object is occurring, knowing, and when there is no object to be observed, there is no arising from the mind as well. So only when the object is there, then as an effect or as a benefit, then the mind is occurring. So in that way, we are understanding in the next higher stage.
ပုံစံတစ်ခုထုတ်ကြည့်ကြအောင်စို့လူတွေမှာအထိုက်ထားဆိုတာရှိပါတယ်မမကနေပြီးတော့ထိုင်ချတဲ့အခါအလုတ်ကိုယူတဲ့ယောဂီဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ထိုင်တော့မဲ့အပြုမှာပေါ့လေတဖြည်းဖြည်းတီရှင်းထိုင်ချတဲ့အခါဟောက်ကိုလေးပြီးတော့ကြာသွားတော့လေသိတာပါတောက်နာတွေတင်းတာတွေဒါတွေသိလာတာလေးပြီးတော့ကြာတော့တောက်နာတွေတင်းတာတွေဟောက်တဲ့ဖြစ်တာတွေဒီကျစိုက်ရှုနေတဲ့အကုန်လုံးဒါတွေသိတာပါထိုင်တဲ့အခါမှာအတိတ်ပေါ်လာတဲ့အာယုန်တွေကို Pore shoot the a duty a lady to the penny lover. A titty penny lover. The Katakama, 10 years say yet all is here, yet all is here. The time is 7 times in the penny lover. 10 years say ball of Yanoshi, Sebido, tiny you deep penny yana. There are 10 years say since it tiny you since it down at the dinner. Leader, Volidari, Pinida, Saravati. Tainane, Tidane, Nayu, Drapinilu. Tayina say since Tayu since Johnny, Drapinida. You did a book with his Ruchi, day and near Timado, Peter Pare. Era leve, John Jock, 2 people, Lady Baba.
Sarah explains that as a human, every day we all have to sit or stand. So in the same manner in our Vipassana meditation, before we sit, then we will be in a standing posture. From the standing posture, then we want to sit. Because we want to sit, we lower down our body slowly. We slump it down very, very slowly. And that lowering down of your body is taking place in how it is taking place you will be knowing, and how you will know is there will be heaviness and there will be tension and stiffness, and one after another of these characters will be striking to your observative mind. So in that way, with that sitting, that sit and the knowing of the object from the mind is also taking place. Because you wanted to sit, you are sitting. While sitting, you are observing. Then in that way, there is a continuity of awareness, and continuity of awareness to the object, and the characters of the object will be striking to your observation mind. So because you have the intention to sit, there are numerous intentions, not only one, there are sequence of mind events are taking place, so that you will be understanding the mind nature as well to the sitting nature. So in that way, because you want to sit, you are sitting. So you come to understand. So you are knowing that because of the cause to sit, you are sitting, sitting is an effect. So you are coming to understand the cause and effect relationship from our mind and matter.
Mamaga Taisha Zema. You did a Caesar Matati Yogi so ye. Don't ye dream hago, the Josu, nearly dream over twin and a lady. Digi Taisha Casaro, Hajem Yiro, down at the worry, dinner the worry, lead the worry, Tari Polar. Tariga to Gushin Tioga, Pisi, to make better than Mobabu. Tanyina say Shileva, Tanya say Nadia. Tanyina say Michiluchi, Tanya yo Pico, you don't let dinner in Pina, Mamaji Yani. Tanyina say Sensi Job, Ida Lady got close or beater. Tansha Zega Lama, Hajem Yiro, Downari, Dinari, Bari, Badari, Hajem Yipila, Joaraba. Ida say who though a John Job, now though a John Job. You dearly pity there, so that what the yogi got sees as a matlushi. Johnny, you Tilaro. Pimadaja Tower of Yaga, Panzina, Maho, so that what it's called a Shindor. Sweetie Chotaro.
Sarah explains that from the standing posture, when you are going to sit, as Sarah mentioned just now, as the cause and effect from our mind and matter are taking place, if we do practice respectfully, maybe in 1 or 2 days or 3 or 4 days, you will come to understand and you will have that kind of knowledge. So because you want to sit, as you slump down your body slowly, then you will be aware of stiffness, tension. And these stiffness, tension are occurring from the matter. And these stiffness, tension, heaviness are noticed or known by your mind. So we come to understand that because of the intention to sit, you are sitting. Because that intention from your mind is, there are sequence of events from our mind that is happening one after another. Because of it, then we are going to sit. When we are slumping down, we know there's a stiffness, tension, heaviness, etc. So that is, the mind become as a cause, and the stiffness, you are aware of the physical condition, become as an effect. So in that way, we will come to understand about this cause and effect walking out from the mind and matter. It is not the kind that because the Creator is making you to sit, it is not at all. Because any super being, supernormal beings is creating you to sit, it is not at all. It is because of your mind you are sitting.
Yona Kweti Bo, Yona Chaujuti Bo, Nota Ponsaku, Toki Yaozo. Puido Ku Yogi Kujipide and in it. At the top video, sheep yanni a car mavali. Yogi Diana Bita Bonia, Sepido Natown. Narema Puido Beauty at the lady woman needed. Khanda pite nare ma winni do jare tide nam shi ye na ka ne lo shi ye ma ja na shi do nare ma atan lai de winni do jare na shi me lo atan ma la lo shi le ma ja atan ni ya le la la ni da atan shi do jare ti ja se ka la ma na ne yu twa le lo shi ye Nane Tanga Yudia Jadi Jaduida Jakan Zaraga Nadia Sara, Union at Website. Tale Johnny Junior Sessanida, Nashi to Jade Nayuka Jondea, Jadida Achudia Atanshi to Jade, Atanalu Jade, Atanga Jondea, Jadida Achudia Sara. You did the art of the Bogos or she. Ye nenge to dari ti la ra be era nanne yu kwe bo chang chu set sa bi lo ti bo ti jin lo chi cha se ka la ma I lo ti ti cha su sai ma ya ba de thu tu be myin se nan se sa se ti se kwe se san se so da le be yau nan ni twé phit ni da chang chu set sa bi lo phit ni da era le ti ke shi ti hau shi ti de tia ri ti jin to Piton Piseli, a good little Triptanine, see us like Chindaka, so the Yeshua.
So how to attain this differentiative knowledge of mind and matter, and they are always taking place in the cause and effect relationship. Now Siaro explained that because Siaro is explaining, or we are explaining, then the sounds are striking to your ear base. So as yogis are attentively listening, when the sound wavelengths come to strike to your ear base, then you have the hearing consciousness developed. So if you are deaf, then you cannot hear. If there is no sound at all too, you don't develop this hearing consciousness. There must be a sound as well, good ear base must be present. Only then hearing consciousness developed. So the sound and your ear base, these two are the matters. When they two come to collide, then you will have a hearing consciousness. This sound is the cause, and the hearing, development of hearing consciousness is the effect. So in that way, you come to understand the cause and effect relationship. If there is no sound, we cannot hear it. So when the sound is there, this sound becomes a cause, and the knowing or having a hearing consciousness is the effect. So in that way, you will have a differentiative understanding of mind and matter, and these mind and matter are also continuously working out in a cause and effect relationship. So similarly, it goes to when you are seeing, smelling, tasting, touching, etc. All these two, they are working out in accordance with the natural phenomenon. So if we wanted to understand with these differentiation of knowledge, then with due respect and if we are attentively noting on whatever occurred at the present moment, we will come to understand.
သို့သောရှုမှတ်တဲ့အခါမှာတော့ဒါကနာကြည်တတ်ပဲဒီလိုတော့ခွဲဖို့တော့မလိုဘူးဒါကအတိုက်တက်အတန်လှိုင်းပဲဆိုတော့ဒီလိုတော့ခွဲဖို့မလိုဘူးဒါကကြားတာပဲကြားတွေ့တာပဲကြားခံစားတာပဲဆိုတော့ဒီလိုစအနေနဲ့တော့ခွဲဖို့မလိုဘူးအဲ့ဒီခိုက်တာမှာယုံနဲ့တရားတွေပေါင်းစပ်ပြီးတော့ဖြစ်တာကိုပဲကြားစီဆိုတဲ့ဩဟာရပေါ်လာတာပဲအဲ့ဒါဒီပေါင်းစပ်ဖြစ်နေတာပဲတော့ကြားတယ်ကြားသည်ဆိုတာပေါ့လေအဲ့ဒီအသုံးလုံးနဲ့မှတ်ရတာပဲကြားတယ်ကြားတယ်ခွဲမမှတ်ရဘူးအဲ့ဒါတော့နားလည်ထားနေရပါတယ်ထို့တူပဲမြင်တဲ့ခက်တာမှာယုံနဲ့တရားတွေပေါင်းစပ်ပြီးဖြစ်နေမြင်တယ်နားတယ်စားတယ်ထိတယ်ကိုယ်တယ်ဆန့်တယ်စသည်ပေါ့လေသူနားလေတဲ့ကိုနားလေတဲ့ဩဝါဒအမိနဲ့ပဲတတ်မှတ်ရပါတယ်
So when we are doing this practice, then as Sarah have explained, because of the sound come to strike with the ear base, we have the hearing consciousness. This is just to understand the nature of the phenomenon we are learning. But in our practical work, that is when we are hearing the sound, we just have to observe it as hearing. No need to analyze, oh, is that a ear base, is that the sound? No need to do. But you just note it merely as hearing. And later on, you will come to know that hearing consciousness, and because of that hearing, you have some kind of feelings, etc., then you will come to understand with the maturity of your progress. So that's why Sarah explained that while it is happening, while it is occurring, then we have to note it in the hearing phenomenon as hearing. Likewise, it goes to when we are seeing an object, noted as seeing, smelling, tasting, touching, in that way. We just have to observe it. The differentiation of understanding will pursue in the line of your progress.
စိတ်ရှုလို့ခုနဝိရိယတတိသမารိတွေကချိန်သားကြိုက်တီကအားကောင်းလာပြောင်းလို့ရှိရင်မြည်ပြီးတော့ပြောက်ကြားပြီးတော့ပြောက်နားပြီးပြောက်စားပြီးပြောက်ထိပြီးပြောက်သိပြီးပြောက်ဖောင်းပြီးပြောက်ပိန်ပြီးပြောက်ဆိုတာပေါ့လေအတိအကျခေါင်းပြူပေါ်လာပြီးတော့တောင်းလောင်နေပြီးတော့ပြောက်သွားတာလေးတွေဉာဏ်လေးရင့်လာတဲ့ခါကျတော့အခုပင်ဖြစ်ပြီးတော့အခုပင်ပြတ်သွားတာလေးတွေဟောင်းပြအတိဆက်ပုံလေးတွေပေါ့လေကောင်းကောင်းကြီးကြည့်လာတော့တာပါပဲ
So as we progress in our meditation with our strong viriya, sati and samadhi, that is with strong effort, mindfulness and concentration, then the more we are capable to note, the more we will come to understand the nature of disappearance. For example, if you are seeing, you note it as seeing, instantly as you observe, it will disappear. If you are hearing, note it as hearing, instantly as you note, it will disappear. Likewise, it goes to your smelling, tasting, touching. So if it is stiffness, tension too, then it will be, as you note, it will be disappearing. All are disappearing in a continuum nature. So that's why whenever we are observing, all the old phenomena are passing by and the new are taking place.
အဲ့ဒီဘယ်လောက်ရောက်သွားပြီဆိုလို့ရှိရင်သစ္စာလေးပါးအမှန်တရားတွေကဒုက္ခသစ္စာလို့ခေါ်တဲ့ဆင်းရဲအမှန်တရားဒါတရားတွေ့တာပဲအဲ့ဒီမှန်တရားတွေဖြစ်ပြီးတော့ပြတ်သွားတာတွေဒါလည်းသိတာပဲ People cut the tape mirror. Good Jare Kama, these are Susan Maluchi. The Javi, the Javi, the Java, a pilot, pips of it, Talidi Tila. The TV is Russia. Nane Jaya, Yukan, the Piazza. Jotugatisa, Tigara. The Karaka, Tiani Jajani, so Natida, the Karaka, Nari Teka Polas, Atantida. The Venator of Colomdi. The Karakama, Nari Jajani, the Sravali. Jatida Setida. Nare Matana saying that some do it as well, Titulitita, Dalen Nantida. Jalu County, Jalu Makausra, Kazamu, the Eraliti, Dalen Nantida. Jare Kaitama Aku Ngamu body, bounce up with a Pidika. Tishaya, the cuckoo or a tigara. The cuckoo Tilaluchi, Jale Haria, Luluti, Vida Pita, Era Naleta, Vare. I don't see Yagavi is Russia, Jabi Piazzavari. Nane Jaya, Yukan the Pia. Jadwi Kanza Naga Topia, Nadia Toba, Tomyu body. Era Nadugatis Ataya. Jazin Tuya Dugatisa Jarukama Erari Tuya Tia Ayaribe. Teacher Yaribe. The journey to my teacher Yariti Lucy, Belumamle. So little Jare who Mayuti, Mashuti about Maluchi Didorabe, Kero de Suame. Nane Jaya Yukan Napia. Nane Jaya Yukan Napia. Na ye Jaya de Tayada Burano, Jaya de Ha Jadwi Kanza Naga Tompia Jadwi Kanza Naga Tompia Jazi Tuya Dukha Disa Eradi Pausa Vilo Pili de Kama. Jadum Kore, do yara Dugatisa Tiare, Sea Madiare. Tio Malone, Jare who Mashu Diaba, Paulino Mapare, Jare who Mashu Diaba, Jare who Mashu Diaba. So?
Jati Kanza Nanga Tomya Jasi Dviya Dukha Disa Jaya Shiya.
The time Naneka, a Mineka, the time Missy Mia, Yukan of Yadi time Naneka Naya Nakau Naya, Yukan of Ya. Sati Kale Sha Ayada, Yukan of Ya, the time of Eradi Chimiara, Dalila.
Sarah is explaining that, as mentioned, if we are practicing in this noble practice, we will come to understand the Four Noble Truths. Among these Four Noble Truths, the first truth is called Dukkha Satya, that is the truth of the suffering. So the truth of the suffering is once we are capable to observe to all the objects, then all these are happening and passing away in a rapid manner, in a very fast manner. So in that way, whatever you heard or you see, everything will disappear and disappear and disappearing. So when we are, for example, when we are observing on the sense of hearing, then we know that because of the ear base is present and because the sound is there, we are knowing we are having the hearing consciousness. To know this is dukkha satya, that is the truth of the suffering. So whenever the sound is there, and when it comes to collide with your earbase, then you develop hearing consciousness. And because of that hearing consciousness, accordingly, sometimes we like it very much, sometimes we hate it accordingly. So when we are aware of this hearing consciousness, then all these are very obvious, and one after another, these phenomena are taking place. So in the same manner, whenever we are aware of this hearing, as soon as we hear, it is disappearing. So in the same manner to the other sense bases as well. So when we are observing on this hearing phenomenon, for example, on hearing phenomenon, then we know there is a hearing consciousness. Accordingly, we will have the feeling. So this is called dukkha satya. This is the real truth of the suffering. Because we are understanding the truth of the suffering means, because the hearing phenomenon is obvious, that's why we are knowing. So whenever we know it, while it is knowing, then we have to observe it attentively. Then you will know the dukkha satya. That is the truth of the suffering. So when we know this truth of the suffering, then we have to understand more. While we are hearing, precisely or accurately, we have to observe on it as hearing and hearing. In the same manner, it goes to your sense of seeing as seeing, smelling, tasting, touching, etc. So in that way, while it is happening, then if we can contemplate it, we will come to understand this dukkha satya, the truth of the suffering.
ဒီအစဉ်လောက်ရသွားလို့ရှိရင်ဘုန်းကြီးတို့ဗုဒ္ဓကဘဝအရှင်တန်းပိုင်းခြားသတ်မှတ်ပြလိုက်တယ်အခုလိုသတိပဋ္ဌာန်ကြီးနဲ့မရှိဘဲနဲ့စိတ်ကူးသက်သက်နဲ့စဉ်းစားနေတဲ့ပုဂ္ဂိုလ်တွေစိတ်ကူးတော့မှမရှိဘဲနဲ့ယုံနိုင်ကြောက်ကြွဆက်ဖို့ရိတ်ကလေးပေါ်ရိတ်ကလေးပြောက်အခုပင်ဖြစ်သွားတယ်မသိတဲ့ပုဂ္ဂိုလ်တွေလောကီအာယုံကာမဂုဏ်လောကီကိစ္စတွေနဲ့အချိန်ကုန်သွားတာတွေအများကြီးရှိပါတယ်အားထုတ်ပြီမဲ့လို့ဒီအဆင့်မရောက်သေးဘူးဆိုလို့ရှိရင်လည်းပဲဒါလည်းပဲမဟုတ်သေးဘူးပေါ့လေဒီအဆင့်ရောက်သွားပြီဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ယုံနာရဲ့ဖြစ်ပျက်ကိုမမြင်ဘဲနဲ့အသက်တရားရှင်နေရသူတဲ့အခုတို့ရှုမှတ်လို့ယုံနာရဲ့ဖြစ်ပျက်ကိုခတ်တဲ့တိမြင်မှုတရားစာလေးပေါ်လီတိမြင်သူကပို့ပြီးတော့တန်ဖိုးရှိပါတယ်တန်ဖိုးဖြတ်ထားပါတယ်အဲ့တော့အခုလူရလို့ဖြစ်လာပြီဆိုလို့ရှိရင်အခုအစောမိတ်တိုင်းမိတို့လူဘဝတန်ဖိုးဘယ်လောက်ရှိနေပါလဲဆိုတော့ဘယ်ဆင်းရောက်နေလဲတွေ့ကြဘူးပဲဒါမှမတည်သေးဘူးဆိုလို့ရှိရင်လည်းပဲတန်ဖိုးတွေကြာနေတာအောက်တန်းကြာနေတာပဲဓမ္မကဲအဲ့ဒါလေးဆိုပြီးတော့ဒီနေ့တရားဝတ်သင်ရစို့ဖြစ်ဖြစ်နှဖျားမမြင်ပါပဲတရားအသက်ရှိသည်ထက်လဲဖြစ်ဖြစ်နှဖျားမမြင်ပါပဲတရားအသက်ရှိသည်ထက်လဲတရက်တာမြဖြစ်ဖြစ်နှဖျားတရက်တာမြသက်ရှင်ရသောလောကလူရွာပါပဲတရက်ချမ်းမြတ်သာသည်မြတ်စွာဘုရားမိခွန်းဒီပြန်ဆိုစမ်းမှာဖြစ်ဖြစ်နှဖျားမမြင်ပါပဲတရားအသက်ရှိသည်ထက်လီဖြစ်ဖြစ်နေဟံယုံနဲ့နာဟောယုံနဲ့နာအမှန်မြင်လျက်ဉာဏ်စီတက်လျက်အသက်တရက်တာမြဖြ သက်ရှင်ရသောလောကလူရွာကောင်းမြတ်သာသည်မြတ်စွာဘုရားမိဂွန်းဒီဖြစ်ပြနှဖျားမမြင်ပါပဲတရားအသက်ရှိသည်ထက်လဲဖြစ်ပြနေဟံယုံနဲ့နံကိုအမှန်မြင်လျက်ဉာဏ်ရှင်တက်၍တရက်တာမြသက်ရှင်ရသောလောကလူရွာကောင်းမြတ်သာသည်မြတ်စွာဘုရားမိဂွန်းဒီဆိုရစမ်းဒီနေ့ဒါပဲတွေ့ကြအောင်စို့
As Sarah explained, to reach to the level of understanding the realities of mind and matter, we have to pursue the real practical workout. So, by imagination or thinking, we cannot attain this knowledge. By imagination, we cannot see the realities of arising and passing away of all the phenomena. Sarah says most of the people nowadays, we have spent most of our time pursuing in the worldly worlds or worldly walks. But we don't know, we have no knowledge to take up this high esteem practice of Vipassana meditation. So, just to understand this, Sarah have explained in a phrase form that as for a person who live only for one day and seeing the arising and passing away of all the phenomena, who live only for one day, his life is better than a person who do not see or who do not understand the arising and passing away of the phenomenon. So this is the phrase as expounded by the Lord Buddha, Sarah have explained to us. That is, may I repeat, that if a person is living for a one day, and if one is seeing the rising and passing away of the phenomenon, even though that person is living for one day, his or her life is better than the person who is living for 100 years and not knowing this real phenomenon of rising and passing away, then that person, the former person who is living for one day, his life is better than the latter one. And those phrases were as expounded by the Lord Buddha, Sarah is currently teaching us now. Now we come to the end of tonight's talk.
။